I just want people to hear some of the beautiful treasures of your heart.
Well, I appreciate that more than you know. You know, ever since the last few people that you have brought on, I've been lit up like a Christmas tree. It's all your fault.
Me too.
And I just, wow, I can't even begin to tell you. All of a sudden, it's like, I think I finally discovered what it feels like when your chakras are just like connecting, boom, 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 all the way up. I never, I mean, it's really hard to describe how that feels, but
yeah,
but that's exactly what it seems to have happened. And I'm not even sure what to do with it all, because all of a sudden the different layers of teaching that I've been through with the Holy Spirit, from all the way back to when my journey started 6 years ago, I guess, with all this, that's it. All these dots are starting to connect. And I don't know. I literally, about an hour ago, I looked in the mirror and all I said was, "Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you for what you're doing." Because I don't even fully comprehend all this, but all of a sudden it's like there's this knowing. It's not so much of a feeling, and it's certainly not it's not head knowledge. It's just
right.
all of a sudden all these things start connecting and congealing inside you, and it's like, oh, then it's not because of you're working out details of a particular discipline of knowledge that you've sat under.
Right.
It's like something that's already present that connects with other things already present.
Right. It absolutely does. And this is again why I wanted to have you on again, why I'm going to have Steve on again. I'm going to have Doug on, and I have a couple other voices that are coming on, because this is what we do as a gift for one another.
Yeah.
Right? Because as we hear when people share, it's like the word Shema, right? You're hearing intelligently these words of fire and living water that allow you to see.
Yes.
And so it's such a beautiful gift. And I totally agree. You've ignited things within me. Steve has, Doug has, and Emery has. It's like, it's such a gift. And it's time that we receive one another so that we can have those epiphanies, Latin word epiphanies.
Yeah.
Illumination, nura, through oreta, so that we can experience miltha in the moment and be able to speak with one another these beautiful treasures of our heart. And I love that as activation. So I agree 100%. And sometimes it's really hard to put into words. So thank you very much for what you have done specifically for me in my heart and these treasures for my dot connecting.
I can't even begin to tell you what just these few weeks of my life listening to you and Ken, what it's opened up to me. Well, I don't even know where to begin. There's not enough words.
It's okay. It's okay. We don't have to begin anywhere. We just need to be right where we are in the moment at our heart level, And so I do know that there was some amazing things. Oh my gosh. You sent me a beautiful email regarding some of you were talking about the oreta and the namusa and the miltha, and it was just this beautiful rolling conversation that you emailed me. And I was like, oh my goodness, and so if you remember and you can just speak it, if you don't, I would love to just record it and put it in a small little video, because it was massive dot connecting for me.
Yeah.
And especially using these beautiful Aramaic words. I mean, my goodness, incredible.
Well, I'm about to take all that to a whole different level.
Perfect. Let's do it.
I, this is going to stir some stuff, and it's going to anybody who's dead set on their, I'll say, version of paradigm or how
Yeah.
things actually are. If they're set on that and they don't have freedom in the spirit to actually expand, then they're going to be pissed off. Okay.
But it's okay.
And I'm not saying anything emphatic. I'm
Okay, because it's a
saying,
catalyst, right?
yeah, always is, always is. But let me start by saying I want to say to you, Shlama Alayachum, which is the greeting and parting, the ancient greeting and parting for people who are from the Aramaic. And it literally means peace of our God to you. Kun is a prefix that means all of us. It means the whole. It means everybody involved. In other words, it's peace of our God to all of us. But I'm speaking to you
That is beautiful.
individually, but that's because you are connected to the whole. You see, and you know what shlama
That's
is.
so
Shlama
beautiful.
is
So
oneness.
Shlama Alayachun.
Yeah, Alaykhhoun.
Alayachun. Okay.
Okay, so that's traditionally how they would greet each other
Chun.
and how
Okay.
they greet each other.
That's so beautiful. I mean, right there, what a blessing. It's like you greet in this oneness, in this beauty, and you leave with the departing of the same blessing. It's like
Absolutely.
it's a greeting of oneness in the now.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to practice that.
And that brings me to one thing that I've been wanting to share with you. I don't know if dimensionally you have seen this yet, but what something is in the Hebrew is always from a masculine perspective.
Absolutely.
But what something is in the Aramaic is always from a feminine perspective. So when you use the words, I'm not talking about the letters, I'm talking about the words formed from the letters. The masculine is one picture, but the feminine is another.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, they shadow each other, but they also pair each other all at the same time.
Yeah.
And so when you go looking for meanings in Hebrew, do your best to find out the pairing meaning in the Aramaic as well. It's difficult because the heart is hidden. The heart is the core. So to
Right.
go into the deeper meaning of something, it takes some work.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so a good example, I guess, and I can't fully explain this. This has to be according to how you feel it. But
Mm-hmm.
it would be in Hebrew we say ruach kadosh,
Hakadesh.
hakodesh,
Yep.
yes, ruach hakodesh.
Yeah.
But in Aramaic it's ruach hakudsha.
Right.
And so when you consider the masculine and feminine aspects of that, something will spark in you, and you will see what we call Holy Spirit dimensionally.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay.
Totally.
So if you're only relating through the Hebrew, you're only getting half the dimension.
Exactly.
Okay. So just keep that in mind when you're considering ideas that the Ruach HaKodesh is dropping in you, so that you can see them dimensionally the way that you have actually known them before but have forgotten. And so that's where the connection comes I can't even fully describe this, but that's where the connection comes, where you know something without learning it.
Sure.
Okay.
So it's a dimensional waking that occurs in the place of remembering, because I see it. So what you're sharing with me, if I can connect to it and make sure I'm hearing you correctly, for other peoples to hear this as well, is that when we take that linear masculine and the spiral feminine, when they are both synergistically working together, you get a means of propulsion forward dimensionally and out of just the 2D plane in which Hebrew keeps you in the equation. I always, in my mind's eye, picture that Fibonacci sequencing of the spiral within the golden mean fractal of the linear, and they continue to touch, right? So as the golden mean is doing its linear rectangles and branches out, the spiral of that Fibonacci sequence is hitting certain points and driving it higher to give it dimension instead of keeping it on a 2D plane. Am I hearing you? Because that's what I'm picturing while you're speaking to me. And so it's like, and because it's spiral in nature, I automatically connect to our DNA.
Now let me tell you, that is Mashika. That
Yes.
is Milta of Mashika, the will in motion, in action. That's the energy of that. That's what's taking place. And it's through the masculine feminine paradox.
So it's the Milta of the Mashika so that people connect. You're talking about the Mashiach, the Christ anointing.
Right.
Yes, I just want, because I know what we're saying, but I know others don't. So it's really the word that is manifestation in the flesh, masculine, feminine as one, that is emanating. And this is because it's Miltha. It's the mouth speaking with authority.
Yes.
It's so good. It's so good. I got goosebumps all over the place. Oh my gosh.
Here comes a bubble.
I know, champagne bubbles everywhere.
So the church is insistent upon the masculine Jesus,
right,
which is actually the Roman Jesus.
right.
Okay? That was the Jesus they were handed. Remember, we live in the reality that was handed to us. Okay,
That's truth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a line from the Truman Show.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah.
Remember and realize true man, he's the only real guy in the show.
Right.
So right. So but in that reality you're handed, you have to wake up that you are not subjected to strictly the duality of the masculine. Duality is only in the masculine. It is not in the heart. The heart is forever, right, because it's magnetic. Okay, the mind is electrical. They work together to form the electromagnetism that runs everything.
So good.
So you see, so that your reality has to change to becoming real. You get that?
Oh, yes, I do.
Your reality, as long as you are strictly in the masculine, your reality is false. It is a construct of somebody else's mind.
Oh my gosh, this is good. Oh, keep going with this. Oh, I got goosebumps again. So good.
So when you're settled on, that's why I started like I did, saying people that are settled in their minds with their paradigm,
right,
and are not flexible,
right,
and cannot move, you see, this is the ligaments of the body. Remember, the ligaments make it so that you can have flexibility.
Right.
Okay? And or a word that you would use, the minutia.
Yeah.
It's the minutia of the body that gives that cushion, that gives that flow, you see? And that's what we're looking for in people's hearts.
Right.
But unless you're living from your heart as the core of your being, then you can't go dimensional on this.
Right. And
that's where the
and
real key is.
light has the ability to be bent.
Yes, absolutely.
So
This is
good.
all. So so you're well, anyways. So
No, keep going. This is good.
I am. But so that's why I brought up the difference, uh the what's the word, the nuance of the difference between, and it really is a nuance between the feminine rucha dukusha and the masculine ruach hakodesh. It sounds very similar, but it's how it affects your nafesh
Right.
that issue. Okay, your
And so
nafesh.
nefesh, so people can comprehend, is the soul.
Yes, or in Hebrew, I mean, in Aramaic, it's nafsha. Your
Right.
nafsha is literally your experience. It is
Yes.
the etheric body experiencing what has been decided upon, which is what causes karma. Okay, karma is not a bad or good thing. It's just your experience in action.
So good.
Okay, so your action is a product of what you have decided in your nafsha.
That's so good. And because nafsha in Aramaic has an aleph on the end, it's because like you are becoming one with the experience because you created it, right? And so
Yes.
it's beautiful because nefesh in Hebrew doesn't have that aspect. It's like you said, you have the inability through that masculine to really connect to the purpose of why you are here as nafsha.
And that is because of the feminine father inside you.
Ah, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
The heart of the matter.
The heart of the matter. Exactly. Home is where the heart is. And you need to do what matters to mother and father if you want to find them.
Oh, you got it. Nailed it right there. That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, now I feel the spirit showed me something that I have not been able to reveal to anyone, and I felt that the time has come because of the day we're in. Um, the new world is being built. I'm
Yes.
sorry, the new earth is being built. Okay, the old earth is going bye bye because we
Right.
have so used it and treated it so badly. And unless you are of the vibration of the heart of mother and father, which is pure love, that's really all there is. Um, then you cannot make that shift. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means
Right.
that you will remain to keep cycling the way that has been for you in the third dimension,
Right.
3D. So that's just where we're at. It is the end. This is an unprecedented event in our universe. You know from your Rancha book that there are 7 universes. The super universe is where Father Mother emits from.
Yes.
Okay. So, and we know that okay. So this is where it gets into if you read the Nag Hammadi, these things are actually explained, but it can only the truth of the Nag Hammadi can only be revealed through spirit.
Right.
You'll draw complete blank unless you're in tune with spirit about this. It has nothing to do with your intellect. It has nothing to do with what you think about yourself. If your ego is present, you're dead in the water.
So in other words, check your ego at the door and go within.
Oh, you need to spank its butt and put it in a corner.
Put it in timeout.
Yeah. There's another way I usually say that, but I won't say that now. So, and that's the thing. You cannot get rid of the ego because it is so a part of you. It is how you have defined yourself. And when I say defined, I mean defined. So the ego is something that you have to help it find its place.
Right. That's so good.
You see,
Yeah,
you cannot, when you let it run you, it's the 6-year-old behind a Cadillac. Okay.
exactly. I call it the beast ego.
Yeah. So you, and that's exactly right. It actually connects you to the whole beast mentality, the whole beast system, all that stuff. And this is a part of having a reptilian body.
Right.
It's a huge part of that. And it doesn't, there again, it doesn't define good or bad. That's all duality.
Right.
That's when you're running off of pure, because the ego is only found in the masculine, which is
Right.
why the masculine has run the world. Misogyny is the religion of the world,
Right.
and so that's why I personally believe that this is why um, the world had to come to a place where um, the Shemaya had to do something on our behalf because we were running. We literally dodged the world's greatest bullet. We almost destroyed ourselves back in 2000. I'm not trying to get political, but 2016. If Trump hadn't gone in there because he was hired to do that, um, then Hillary Clinton was going to commit us to nuclear war. It was already set up to do so, and then blame Russia for it. It had something to do with skimming off the top of uranium that they sold to Russia and all that sort of stuff. Anyways, they were going to get to blame. They were going to literally, the evil cabal was going to get to push the button, destroy most of America. I mean, you've heard of the Georgia Guidestones, all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they were going to destroy us, and anybody who was left over was going to go into FEMA camps. And so they were going to kill as many as possible with that. That was their plan. And so, anyways, but I'm not to get lost in all that, but we dodged that bullet because of the will of Father and Mother. The human experience somehow is somewhat unique to all of creation, and I don't think we are going to understand it on this side of the veil.
No, I don't think
And
so either. I don't think so either.
and it's not something, because it's not a badge of honor. You don't put that on because that's just connected back to ego.
Right.
You just understand that there is a whole lot more at play here um, than um, than just how we choose to see it. It's so, there's so much going on. It's so layered. And yes, that most people don't know that the purpose of the cross is actually its simplest definition, which is um, it really originally had nothing to do with what Yeshua or Yeshu died on. What it had to do with was the coming together of the heavens, the Shemaya, and then our realm here, and where mankind had settled into. And that is a good segue for what I'm about to tell you.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. I'm so ready.
Okay. So you have to understand the Urantia book is mind blowing how it explains all this. But when you get into, because the Nag Hammadi is more from the feminine than anything else that has been written. That's why it seems so poetic and lofty in its wording. Okay. But it does a beautiful job. It actually talks like Ken.
I've learned to speak Ken, so I totally comprehend that. Or
Yeah.
or maybe not speak it, but I can hear it and I know exactly what is being said. Even if some other people don't, I know exactly what my husband is saying.
Yes, I've listened to the last three things that Ken has put out, and it just makes me dance inside. But
Oh, yeah.
I'm sitting there going, Spirit, why am I not getting this in my head? And the Spirit said, well, don't you know that Ken is speaking differently than you are used to hearing in your head? And I said, okay, so what does that mean? And the Spirit said, that means that you're getting Ken 100% in your heart.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you see him. You feel him. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Oh,
It's like a love bomb going off when he talks like he does.
yes. Yes.
And so whenever I feel that, but my head is like, what the hell did he just say?
I know, right? You have to slow way down and get the head out of the way and put the ego in timeout.
Exactly. Because yeah, you absolutely have to do that. And for me, it's at that moment it's mechanical, and I haven't prepared myself. But it's like the Holy Spirit just says it's okay. We'll talk about it later.
That's so good. That's right. We'll talk about it later, like probably when you go to bed and your ego gets shut off. I'll be speaking to you about it during your slumber time so we can speak spirit to spirit.
That's right. That's right. And
Oh,
so
that's so good.
the
Anyway, keep
spirit,
going.
the spirit had to just simply tell me this: Ken is speaking without. Ken is speaking now in the fourth dimension,
Yes.
and you're still trying to grasp it in the third dimension.
Yes.
This is a part of my training. You see, so
Yeah.
I have to keep reaching for that which is not comprehensible in my mind, because my heart is now so far ahead.
Right.
You see, but the
Yeah.
masculine and the feminine have to come into balance. Otherwise, we will not be able to become one. As
Right.
you, the bride has to become the wife.
Exactly. So she can embrace her role as queen.
Yes, and that was another point I wanted to bring out. Just this is just a side thing, but what you were describing the other day, and I forget which one it was, but you were talking about this, the bride coming. Well, so a man dresses in a black and white tux, the woman dresses in a white gown, and they come together and they form a union. But the union is not recognized until that bride allows the husband to penetrate on their wedding night in their chamber.
Yes.
When this takes place, this is the end of the black and white tux and the white gown. This is the end of duality. They become one.
So good.
And the only way that a woman can call herself her husband's wife is by that mystery happening. You see,
I
that's
agree.
when the milta comes from Christ joining his bride, and they become one. And then you realize the husband and the wife are the same.
Exactly. Ah, exactly.
And you
Exactly.
see this until it happens.
Right.
You cannot see this. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you know the Jewish tradition, how they do after the marriage ceremony, when they go to partying about it, there is a division. There is a partition put up between the feminine and the masculine during the party, because they do not recognize the women are on one side, the men are on the other. They do not recognize the union until the consummation.
Oh, wow.
And there has to be two witnesses.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course. Of course.
And then, so then this brings me to the moment that the purpose of that is still yet to happen. But when we enter this new age, aeon, however you want to refer to it, in the new world, Christos shows up
Yes.
for his bride so they can become one. But
Yes.
it's not going to be some dude riding down on a white stallion in the clouds. It's going to be so dimensional and so much more real than that. The church is looking for the masculine Christ that was
I know
handed.
they are. Wow.
Jesus ain't the dude. Jesus is the avatar that came and literally said, I will let Christos inhabit me while I am here. And he moved on. He is so far ascended beyond us, it's not even funny because he came from another realm. So, but he still reaches back through people channeling him and stuff like that because he loves us so much and he did so much for us. But that's the issue. That's the issue. That's one man or
Right.
one being, I should say.
Right.
But Christos is all of us. He
Yes.
is the king of this universe because our king is our king's dome,
Right.
the seventh chakra. And he is the one just above. He is the eighth chakra coming to be our mind. You
Hence
see?
the mind of Christos, but it's going
Bingo.
to be the mind of Christos-Sophia.
Yes, and that takes me back to I can't believe you just said that. Oh my
Ah,
goosebumps
that's
on
why
goosebumps.
that's why the greater can be done. Because it's not just the Christos, it's Christos Sophia united as one. Oh, I just got goosebumps again. Woo!
Now I'm going to take you to the beginning. Okay? I don't know if you've read this, but because it's not directly in the scriptures, it's in other scriptures. It's where the Yeshua's students come to him and say, Master, when is the end? And he looks at him and he goes, oh, so you already understand the beginning.
That's so good. I love that. Oh, I love that.
So but then they're like, it was one of those, what the hell did he just say?
I know.
And so then he didn't feel obligated to answer their question because
Because
they
they
didn't
didn't ask the
understand.
right question.
Exactly.
The master won't give you anything unless you ask the right question, because that would be a violation of the law of free will, the law of confusion, as the law of one talks about. I cannot bring anything to you unless you ask the right question, because then I violate your own learning process. And now I have just given you my interpretation of what my extraction has been, which then comes to control and manipulation because you didn't discover it organically.
Yeah, beautifully put. So his disciples were sitting there going, please answer the questions of our ego. Our ego wants to know. And he's sitting there going, I'm sorry, I ain't talking to your ego. I'm
That's
talking to you.
right.
And if you don't know it in your heart, you don't know it. So let's move on.
That's so good.
And so, but let's go to the Nag Hammadi. The Nag Hammadi reveals, and I'm just going to kind of paraphrase as it was shown to me, but there was this thing outside of everything that is. I mean, everything. There is the All Father. That's the only thing I can call it. The All Father decides to form what we know as reality. And when he agrees with himself, he says, I will split myself. And then he forms the template of all existence, which is the father and mother and the son,
That's right.
which is the family.
Yes.
Family is the template of all that truly exists. Remember, I mean, I brought this up the other day. Remember, that which exists can never be threatened. That which doesn't exist is not real.
That's right.
Therein lies, I think it was Steve actually that brought that up. Therein lies the peace of God. So there is no threat to that which is not real. I mean, to what is actually real whatsoever.
Right. So
And
the
that,
not real is that which is threatened.
yes, it's the only thing that can be threatened. Period.
That's right.
And you got to
That's
function.
right.
You got to function from that space of understanding. You see, you cannot until you understand that, you cannot overstand.
And you certainly can't understand.
Yeah, because it's got the understanding has to come for it to actually be a part of you. Otherwise, you're just talking out of your head.
Right. And you're not speaking from your heart because you haven't merged Oreta and Milfa together.
Right. Right. Yeah. So if you go back to the beginning, when that happens, the first degree of sonship, guess who it is? The father and mother come together in perfect union. And guess what's produced? Through Milta, what is produced is the Milta.
That's right. That's right.
Which is Christos, the
That's
only
right.
begotten Son. Or actually in Aramaic, it says the first of many.
Yes. Yes.
The only begotten because he's the only first degree.
And, you know, in that time as well, I really don't think that the energies of the planet could support more than one at a time. They weren't ready. We weren't ready.
Right. Absolutely.
Way too much power, way too much light, and we were far too dense for that kind of vibration. I mean, it literally would have unraveled everything and it would have imploded on itself because it would have been too much for the density that we were living in when that manifested.
Right. So then the second is the daughter. And the
Yes.
daughter is known as Barbello. Barbello is the womb of all existence.
See, I've not heard this word before. So was this from the Nag Hammadi? Because this is an unfamiliar, this is a new word for me.
3 different books in the Nag Hammadi identify her as Barbello.
So this is like the mother womb matrix?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, when you say matrix, that's actually a reference to the densest form of reality, which we know it as third dimension.
Well, I guess I'm using it in the terms of the matrix of the womb where creation takes place.
Yes.
Not as in like the matrix in which we live in the dense world, but the place where new life germinates.
Yes. It is the origination.
Okay.
Origination.
Barbello.
Barbello, yes. And I don't even know where to start to discover what that means.
Well, it sounds, I mean, I can connect it to even like with the Hebrew vibration of the masculine entity in masculine, and oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Oh, hold on, hold that thought because it's Barbello. Oh my gosh, Steve. Oh, I got goosebumps all over. Okay, settle down, settle down. It's Betresh Bar Bet Lamed Aleph. Whoa, this is the combination of mother and father in creation because Bar has to do with progeny and heirship. It's a word that means it's a son, but it means purity and innocence.
Yeshua Bar Yosef.
Right. So this is, and it also means winnowing through spirit. So, winnowing versus threshing. So, just kind of put that aside. But bet lamed is the root of Babel.
Oh.
It's the root of Babel. So hold on just a second here. Hold on just a second, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up. Oh, this is so good. Because I'm feeling this. I don't remember. Hold on. Strong's Hebrew Babel. And we're going to go and I'm going to look at the root of that. So that's 894. Because I don't remember what it was, but it was something really good. It's something really good. I think it has to do with anointing. Hold on just a second. Balal. Okay. From Balal. And it's Bet Lamed. Yes, and it means to anoint. To overflow with oil.
Oh.
And it means to mix. I've got goosebumps all over again. See, I got goosebumps. So this is where I listen to when people like yourself speak about the Nag Hammadi literature, and I get really excited about it. But then I'm always thinking to myself, but what is it saying in the original language? What is being really communicated? Because we lose so much in the translation. And then you get words like Barbello, and we have no idea what they mean. But once you begin digging in, it's like, oh my gosh. So Bar, the beginning of Bereshit, creation, right? Balel, to anoint, and then it would end with the Aleph. So the anointing is the two staffs of authority on the inside that instruct you in the way of oneness. That is a womb matrix that is trying to instruct us so that we can be birthed in and out and through it into oneness unity.
Except you be born again.
Ken just popped in. He can't hear you very well on because the speaker isn't really good, but he just popped in. So obviously he heard the excitement, so he's joining in the mix. He's like, the water's good. I'm joining in.
Hello.
You didn't get to hear all the awesome stuff that Daryl said in the beginning. I'll have to go back and let you listen to it. So he was saying lots of awesome stuff about you.
Well, thank you. Well, she shares lots of stuff about you guys as well.
Yes.
So it's just a treasure trove of information that we're able to share it. So it's very kind that you just grant us the opportunity to share time. That's it's not an easy thing, and it's not a cheap thing. So we totally know the cost of time and what's involved.
So what brought you in? Why'd you join?
I'm working on something. I'm writing.
And then, because I also know that Daryl has a point of where we're going with the Barbello, so I don't want to lose his train of thought.
Well,
but
the anointing, as we know, I'm not telling. I'm only sharing from where I am in the moment in the room. So I'm trying to get something across through the generosity of death, and it's a tough thing to comprehend. And this is why we navigate life. And I'm just hearing some echoes in the other room, and it's reminiscent of what I'm processing right now. And there's two folds in the anointing. What I'm seeing is the measure of responsibility is giving in the birthing process. When we're birthed, we're given the first crown. That is opportunity of anointing to come through mother's womb is mother's crown of learning to be reared in the way of responsibility. That's the gift of life. And in that rearing of responsibility, if we steward it correctly, then the exit would be father's crowning. It's the reverse of birth, but we remove ourselves through the death chamber, which is now father's crowning. And this is the balancing of two crowns. This is mother and father fully now in representation of the unity of one in the process of progeny coming into the experience of the birthing chamber to receive a crown, and the opportunity to journey through maturation to seek the resolve of father's death. Exiting correctly, you now encompass yourself with his crown to be called one. Yes. This is the balancing act of really rendering clear duality into the resonance of one song. And so it's just a measure of totality and summation of what is within us, because this is all within, and we get to use the expression outwardly to really use the experience as an outward manifestation, regardless, it's just seeking the resolve through affliction. And this is where we render clear the anointing oil. So,
So before you add anything else, because I'm about ready to burst. So Ken just described what the process of what we were discussing, Daryl, and I can't, this is a great launching point because I know you got a lot more you want to share. I just saw something about Barbello. Balel is in the middle of bara. Bara is the word that means to create. So to create the anointing in the heart. So good. I got goosebumps all over again. I just love this. I'm sorry. Ken's like, oh boy, she's doing the champagne way too early this morning.
it's all, we all have a facet of degree that we share, and that's why I love what Carrie's doing in the channel. I just have much stuff I'm trying to get out, so I can hear it, the peripherals of it, but I just love the opportunity for another expression to come forward to share the revelation of your uniqueness as as an experience of expression, because I can hear the maturity in your excavation that expresses just a genuineness of desire to seek something that, as you know, is very arduous in its excavation. It's you have to really want. I call it removing the wobble of light speed. It's like we can't travel at light speed with a wobble. It's impossible, right? We're going to disintegrate. But the whole process is actually an oxymoron because it's all about dissolving, right? Distillation. But if this is just kind of through our excavation, we're just straightening out the process of light speed, so we're able to travel at light speed without a wobble. And so it's just kind of a neat way that I look at things of expressing the process of journey. So, anyways.
I am Toda for the way that you think. I am completely, because I mean, you resonate with me. I don't fully comprehend in the head everything you say, a lot of what you say, but my heart just like wants to explode. It's like earlier I told Carrie, it's like a love bomb going off whenever you express the way you do.
Oh.
And it's just it's amazing. I am totally in awe and in respect of what the spirit, the journey that the spirit's carrying you in. And but to summate what you said earlier, Ishu goes to his bar mitzvah at the temple and shows them that they've been stuck in the masculine their whole life and they still didn't get it. And then he has to look at Maryam, his mother, and say, didn't you know I had to be about my father's business? And that was the changeover.
Yeah. Absolutely.
From that point on, he went to his father's feet to learn of him.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a place of transmutation that's the gift, is if we comprehend this, we don't have to exit the death. We can express Father in this construct. And I love it, Rakam, is even the matrix in the womb is like, we are able to, this is the process of reborn. If we can connect correctly, I'll be about my Father's business, but that is solely dependent upon a willingness to be reborn into the image of my Father. But that, again, is solely dependent on the willingness to integrate through mother's direction and her rearing.
Yeah.
We can do that in one life cycle.
Yes,
that is lovely.
Yes, we can. Well, Ishu, he showed us how.
He did.
He did it.
Yeah. In spite of them tearing apart the scriptures, in spite of them dividing that and then trying to make it completely masculine, it is all encrypted there. Everything that you need to walk in this journey and to find yourself again. It's there.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. We're very, very, very fortunate. Very, very, very fortunate that, and we're in a time though. I mean, I think that this is actually, I think there was ones and twos that were maybe like yourself that were held up in just probably brought in specifically for this to release this frequency. But I just think it's amazing that it was held up to the end. That's why it's so exciting to me, is this the timeline that we're in right now? Because I just do not believe that this is that there be an allowance for manipulation on this. This is something of pure essence. This is actually, I've heard the word sacred used, and it's almost an overused word. And I do my best to bring it back to right standing, because actually it's actually a sitting word. It's a completed word of full restoration of resolve, and it moves into the sovereignty of supreme being as a supreme court. But that can only be done through the delegation of rightly discerning and sentencing the word of adjudication correctly. That is sacred. Sacred
Yes,
as supreme being is a high benchmark of supremacy that is a preeminence. And that is a powerful, powerful thing that needs to be reestablished to comprehend its intention again.
yes. When you use the word sacred, you should understand that it means reverence for
Right.
that which is real,
Right.
Yeah.
For what?
true.
Yes, for that which is real. And we had just talked about that.
Yeah, that's actually why I came in. What I'm working on right now is we were given a while ago, and it's called Quivering to the Mark, the Flight of the Arrow. And it's breaking down the construct of reverence. And it's the journey of an arrow that would mature into the processing of the archer, because it's all really scripturally based. And the journey of the arrow is to comprehend reverence from the quiver. At that point, it learns the flight of circumnavigation to strike the archer in the back to become the measure of intention. And this whole journey is based off the frequency of reverence, that proper reverence vibrates at light speed. The archer does not look for the arrow. The archer knows that he simply reaches back and his fingers are tuned to such precision that it's able to touch familiar.
Yeah,
That's reverence.
that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
That's great.
I love
So-
the way you parse words.
I know. When you spend enough time like I do with my husband, I hear his code, because every single word when he shares is extremely coded, and it doesn't mean to do it as a way of obfuscation.
No.
It's speaking from a level of intimate knowing of the words that he is conveying in English that directly come from the heart through Hebrew and Aramaic.
I mean, I have no intention of coding. I've lived.
No, I know you don't.
Yeah, I know, and I
know
appreciate you
don't.
do. I do. I simply, it took me a while to register through the innocence of what the language was speaking to me, and I had to wrestle through my own lack of fear of communicating in a way, because really, what, as you probably realize as well, that the language is pretty much an oxymoron. It is because it isn't, because we haven't established the measure of intention. It points to itself continually to say, this is the standard, but because you're not the standard, then it is not.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I had to wrestle that through myself to realize that this is a very circular construct intended that way because it is templated that way. And so, but in that, again, you can only see, like, you're able to see things through my frequency because you're resonating to a similar frequency. And that to me is a beautiful, beautiful relation. And I don't want to hide from the uniqueness of individuality. I'm one that is, I look for the expression. I may not like someone else may speak and I may not comprehend you because you're uniquely you, but I'm a respecter of individuality, and that's what this is. This is a facet language of many faces of one gem.
Yeah,
And so
in the Oreta, there's only one thing that is individual, and that is expression.
yes.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Totally
yes.
say that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and it's amazing that you would even say that. That connects so deeply with my heart, because I see it written over and over and over again through what the Spirit reveals to me, is the uniqueness of expression. Because that's the question. That's the final question of what I'm sharing is really the question of, it is after the whole process of what I'm sharing, I ask myself the question: are all arrows created equal? And the response is, all are equal in the potential of becoming, but all are unique in their expression.
That's so
Yeah,
good.
that's it. That's it right there. Perfect. That is perfect. That is shalom.
That is.
Shlama.
That is shalom and shlama. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good. So I want to continue. I want to hear what Steve has to say
Okay.
because, well, just speak Steve, what Daryl has to say, because Daryl is talking about the Nag Hammadi library and some of the things that he has discovered, because I haven't gone through the Nag Hammadi library. So everything that you're saying and sharing here is new. And I'm like, whoa.
Well, I'll leave you guys. I'm writing right now, so I just wanted to come in and say hello and thank you for your time and sharing with my wife. I know it's a treasure to her. She bubbles forth, is spilling into the room next door, and so it's good stuff. So from my heart to yours, Tada Rabba, Shalom.
Tebuta, it is great. It is a great pleasure and a privilege to speak with you.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll keep spilling forth waters of Chaya out into the living room. Okay. That was so good. Okay, so Barbello. So take
Okay.
it from where if you didn't lose your train of thought. So we just
No,
explained what Barbello was, which was like a huge revelation. So take it from here.
okay, that's the mother, the preeminent mother of existence. Okay. And she and Christos became the second father and mother. Okay. And then our universe literally was given to Christos and Barbello. Okay, as I understand it. So that formed what traditionally in other writings call the 10 levels of heaven. Okay, that's a simplistic way of viewing it. You know from reading Urantia that it goes way beyond that. Okay, that is so simple-minded compared to what Urantia displays.
Oh yeah, and if anybody hasn't read it, I highly recommend it. It blew up all of my religious boxes into this wonderful confetti of expanded thinking in my heart and my mind. It was incredible.
If I may wax crude for a second, Urantia kicks every concept's ass.
Yes, I
Seriously.
totally agree.
I don't know how else to say it, you know. So that when the parts that I have read, and I've only actually been through maybe half of it, but the parts that I have read, it puts reality on a majesty that I couldn't have possibly fathomed.
Well, the first 2/3 of the book is a book of cosmology, and that is what we've been sorely lacking, is the cosmological view of the vastness of really what is true. And then, of course, that last third is Yeshu's life and things that bring in greater detail, and including the detail of the disciples.
Right.
So
right.
Anyway, digress.
Okay. I can only imagine how Yeshu was so frustrated with trying to teach his one-dimensional students who were so wrapped up in the culture of misogyny that they had grown up in. And to the point where the law, the Namosa, was literally their God. And
right.
Can you imagine trying to get out of that? You know, I mean,
well, look at what we do in the hoops that we have to go through to dislodge that. And then when we try to share it with others. So I can only imagine how dense it was back then versus now. I mean, now it's a fighting chance. Back then, no wonder why you only had 12.
Well, actually, there was quite a few more.
I know. I'm just saying the original, what they were saying, and I know there was a lot more because there was women as well, you know, and of course, what you just said with misogyny, they don't even count those.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And they're the ones that the women are the ones that actually made sure that it all stayed alive.
Right. Kind of an important concept.
The dudes are always like, man, I'm allergic to pain. I don't want to do this no more.
That's funny.
Stop for a little while. Let's take a 2-year sabbatical. Let's just, you know, it's like, I mean, that's the way we are. And you women are like, are you kidding? Do you know what it's cost me to get to this point? Moron.
We are not stopping. Yeah, no, I get that. I totally get that.
It's the heart that pushes us on, because that's where wisdom comes from.
Yeah.
And then we finally realize, oh my gosh, I was about to quit.
Right. Ken had a vision, and then I'm gonna defer back to you. It's just that we've got this beautiful ping pong going forth. Ken had a dream or vision a long time ago where he was watching this like a group of people that were climbing a mountain, and they couldn't see what was right before them until they popped through it. And he used the term back then as glory gate. And so they would be making this trek, and it was dry and it was dusty and, you know, loose rocks, and people are tripping on the way up at this mountain. And when you would pop through a gate, you would get on the other side and you would turn around and you could see everything that was from behind. And then you would see this group of people meandering around in the bottom in the circle. And so what would happen is he was standing on the other side of the gate, and he's like, come on, just a little further, just a little further. And they'd get right up to the gate. And then they would turn around and go back down, go into the circle, and then start climbing back up. And he woke up and it was a burden, because he's like, people don't realize that they just need to keep pressing forward, because if you do, you are going to pop through on the other side, and everything changes from that point on. But until you do that, those that haven't done it can't see you.
Yeah. What does water have to do? Water has to flow.
Right.
Okay, in order to have life-bearing quality. But what happens when there's no flow?
Stagnation.
Bingo. Guess what water is? Water is congealed light in the third density. So you stagnate it pretty much is dead in the water.
That is why I found a verse that talks about that the blood is congealed light as well. And that makes sense, because Dom, Mem is in it. The door into the blood, the water that is congealed light.
Yep. And what are we, 80% of or more?
Water.
Water. Exactly. So, and what do we
Slow
always
down light.
Well, he's dead in the water and just doesn't know it.
Right. Right.
That's because the flow is not there.
Right. So if the energy centers aren't flowing, there's no water, there is no living water that is circulating to bring forth the miltha.
Yep. That's it.
So good.
Are you familiar with the Aramaic meaning of sin?
Well, expound upon it for me, because I've seen the Hebrew word chata, chet, tet, aleph in Hebrew, and I think it's similar in spelling to Aramaic, but I want to hear your take on it, because I've spent more time in Hebrew than I have Aramaic. Aramaic is something I just kind of crossed over into like a year ago.
Well, this is a reference, though, not to the word itself, but to the picture that it paints.
Okay.
Because remember, Hebrew has become phonic. It's how you hear it. Whereas Aramaic is
how you feel
is genuinely how you see it.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Remember, the greatest treasures of any culture throughout history has been the stories that were passed down. The orators, those who declared themselves storytellers, they passed on the wisdom of each culture. That was how it got done. But that was because of how they saw it. Okay? I mean, they're using their third eye. They're using their mind's eye, as it were.
I love that. I'm glad that you clarified that.
Okay? So Aramaic is predominantly how you see it. Because if you're hearing it from somebody else and you don't agree with it, then you get emotional. And then guess what takes over?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay? So then when your emotions take over, it's not how you feel. How you feel is from what you can see. Okay? You see? So your heart is actually doing the looking without eyes.
Right.
Your eyes are what's deceiving you through your mind.
Yes.
Yes. Because you're not actually seeing. You have to see with your heart.
Exactly. And the heart doesn't see external narratives.
Right. So whenever you are sitting there, let's say you're sitting at a campfire and you're hearing this beautiful, incredible story from someone very capable of telling it to you, what is involved there?
You
It's
mean
not
as far as
just,
all the senses go?
yeah, because what is it doing? It's painting a picture.
Picture. Yes. And then it's
So
imprinted through all of the sensory, not only from the heart, but when you're hearing, this is so good because this is getting into the right brain instead of the left brain. So it's getting
exactly.
imprinted on you because you begin to see, you begin to hear, you begin to feel, and you begin to smell, because around the campfire, you're hearing stories, and that even through the smell of the woods at night or the fire. And oh my gosh, that's so good. I'm so getting what you're saying.
Right. When you're sitting there just simply listening to somebody, you're just wanting to know if you're really just wanting to know if what they say is in agreement with what you think, or you think, which is just opinion.
That would be
Okay.
through egoic mind.
Bingo. You
Yep.
filtered it through your head, and
Right.
you haven't even given a shot at the heart being able to take it in. But the
Agreed.
crazy part is that's the way the world is. The world is misogynistic because we don't give the heart of the world a chance to be able to make the plans that have already been made. And so then they don't
Yeah.
come to pass. What comes to
Right.
pass is the egoic, childish plans that the head makes, that the masculine
Yes.
by itself makes. Now,
Yes.
back to the Nag Hammadi,
Okay.
because this is the important part. So, the second degree of children are from father, mother, are known as Pistis and Sophia.
And
Okay,
pistis is like fidelity or faithfulness or faith.
faith. That's
Okay.
right. Faith.
Because that's the Greek word, right?
Yes, and what the modern day church has done is turn faith into belief, and we all know that beliefs are like trying to nail Jello to the wall. So,
That's a great word picture. Yep.
yeah. So your beliefs are. I love what Dale always says. Your beliefs are BS, literally. Because he goes, you got to know it.
Right.
Yep. Belief systems are built on personalities, and personality is built on persona in the Latin, which is an actor's mask,
Right. Which is a hypocrite.
which means you can put it on, take it off at will. You can actually flip it in one decision.
Yes. That's right.
So Pistis Sophia was the complete children. They were one. Pistis is the masculine,
To
Sophia
be
is
is
the
the
feminine.
feminine. Yeah. Yeah.
So as the story goes, Sophia was at play on the outer edges of existence, enjoying all that she was exploring. So she goes and she decides in herself, I will create. Well, there's just one problem. She was actually separate from Pistis. So she started creating by herself on her own.
This
Which
is the
neither.
formation of Yaldabaoth, isn't it? Because
Yes,
I
that's
have
what I'm
heard
getting
that.
at.
I have heard that.
Yaldabaoth is he was from the realm of shadow.
Oh
Or
my gosh,
otherwise,
that's so good. That's the left-hand path without the right. Oh my
otherwise known
gosh.
as the realm of chaos.
Yes. Because you
Okay.
have to take the feminine inner, you have to go through mother to bring it into that darkness so there's no longer chaos in the darkness, so that it has order to it. Oh,
How
that's
can
so
you
good.
how can you have a creation without seed?
Right,
If you do, it's a bastard.
right,
It's illegitimate.
right.
So here's the thing. the light that Sophia had, she gave a portion of it when she discovered in the shadowed areas that were the culmination of what she had created. And she didn't count on that. That was not her intention. Okay? Remember, your creation, you have to be mindful of what you create.
Exactly.
And you have to do it according to oreta, which is
Exactly.
order.
Yes.
Which means the masculine and the feminine have to both be at work equally.
Yes. Have to be coherent.
Yes. So the bastard that was formed from this does not naturally have, I'm choosing those words carefully, does not naturally have chaya. So
Because there is no oreta.
yes, oreta was broken.
Yes. Oh,
for
yeah.
the manifestation. She did not do anything wrong. She just created short-sighted. Okay.
Yes, I hear that.
So she makes her creation, and because he is an abomination, he does not resemble anything from that has yet emanated from source. But she loves it regardless, because she is
Of
love.
course. Of course.
So it's her child. So she gives him a small portion of her light. When she does this, he becomes very powerful, but he is unable to recognize his own mother because she is so dimensionally higher than him. So when he comes about in his darkness, he looks around and he feels himself to be the most powerful being that there is. And then the shot heard around all the universes is whenever he says, I must be God, which is a point of insanity, the original point of insanity. And by the way, I could be wrong, and I'm totally leaving that open, but I believe that this creature, whatever it is unredeemable because it is not from Chaya.
Well, and if it cannot recognize its own mother, the feminine, then how can it ascend?
Exactly. And it does not have a father at all. So
that's really sad.
Yes, it's extreme. It's the saddest story there is. So this being starts creating because it has its mother's light. And as it starts creating, it starts forming children. And those children are androgynous, neither male nor female. And they actually take their own power in that they choose whether they want to go with one or the other later on.
So you're talking about the formation of the Elohim.
Yes. But not the Elohim that we are from. Not that we are, that is what makes mankind significant. You see what I'm saying? So, and here is the rub of it all, because if you've ever read the Sumerian texts about the Anunnaki, Anu is Yaldabaoth. Okay? So what they do is they, if I'm connecting this right, Yaldabaoth forms his first child is Sabaoth, and he is cruel to his children and he demands that they worship him as God, even though they have their own minds and they can plainly look, well, you had to come from somewhere. And then when their mother comes back into the situation, the children recognize and they go, oh, so dad isn't God. He isn't the creator. And that causes the whole angst, the whole dynasty of drama that transpires. But then Yaldabaoth secretly recognizes this in himself, and he's so angry about it, he starts doing dark things. I'll just put it like that. I don't want to stand in judgment of him because it's way beyond my pay grade. But then when he does this, his mother comes back into that realm and says, "Cease, Samael," which means blind God. She renames him because of his cruelty and his stupidity and his blatant disregard for, like we were talking about with Ken, the lack of reverence for the sacred, because it's just not in him. He doesn't have a father. Why would he hold anything sacred when he thinks he is the original father, which in his way he is? And that's the issue of this. So then the mother recognizes, Sophia says, I don't love my son so much as I love my grandkids. And she has distant, times where she is able to interact with them, although they don't fully comprehend their mother. And the one that gets confident in who she is Sabaoth, the first one. And so then, as I've interpreted it from the Nag Hammadi, Sabaoth is given privilege by Sophia, and together they become the masculine feminine to go and create our universe. Sabaoth becomes Yahweh. Okay?
Oh my gosh, I am so glad. I am so glad that you brought that forward, because I have seen as Yahweh not being Yaldabaoth.
Yes.
And there are many that say that Yahweh, Yahuwah, Jehovah is Yaldabaoth, and I said it can't be. It can't be. Because it can't be. And I've heard people say that Yahweh is quote unquote a rat bastard, and I'm like, you are attaching a wrong deity to the identity of Yod He Vav He. So, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you brought that forward. Oh.
Sabaoth then recognizes that there has got to be, he is not going to sit in the despair of his own dad. He's not going to do it. He doesn't care about his origins. And so he goes on to gloriously create realm upon realm within this universe. And then, but there is still the element of their dad in them. So the Annunaki became beings that looked at their lives as lives of privilege. They became the original elect, as it were. In other words, as if they're special to everything else created in the universe.
Right.
Even though they're immortal, they're not infinite. They're immortal. You're only infinite if you're created in the Allaha. I do not know if there is a path of redemption for the Anunnaki, and I don't even want to go there because it's, like I said, it's above my pay grade and it's none of my business. That is not my path. That has nothing to do. Now that I am awake to all this, I do not have a concern about that, because that is their own journey. If there is a path of redemption for them, that is between them and Allaha. And
I totally 100% agree. I am going to bring a segue in from the Law of One, that it says that all will return back. All. Some of them just take a much longer journey to get there, because they go into that service to self orientation, and they skip their heart. And so they do all of this and they ascend to a certain part, and then they're stopped. They're not allowed to go to become one with Allah, right? They're not allowed to, because they missed the heart, which we know is the most important part of our ascension process. And so then they have to go and redo everything, like literally undo and feel their way through of everything that they did that
That's right.
put harm, pain, and suffering on those that they diminished in their sight because they didn't recognize them as being one.
Exactly. So I mean, there's so much more to this, but I don't want to take up, so much time with this, because this is the origin and the actual reason for why things progressed the way they did. The characters that we have lived out religiously, like the devil and Satan, of course, from your rancha, that's fully explained as to who those beings are, and it's much more simple than the ridiculous fairy tales that we've come up with. But the bottom line is that the Anunnaki are definitely not the only family from the celestials that's out there. There's many, many, many.
Yes.
But the Anunnaki, here's the true story, and this is really what I wanted to get to. The Earth is not like everybody thinks it is. I spent 3.5 years trying to figure out, is it a round Earth, or is it a ball, or is it a flat Earth? Which is so two-dimensional thinking, it's not even funny. It's ridiculous. It is so much more than that. And so I finally started putting pieces together by running across different people from different camps, and started seeing that just how dimensional it actually all is.
Well, while you're doing that, I have heard that Earth is an existential plane that's multidimensional, and that because it is multidimensional, various entities of various densities are all interacting on this existential plane.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So the Earth is actually, this is what the Anunnaki did when they came here some 6,000 years ago, 7,000 years ago, whatever it was.
And I've heard some people say like 250,000 years ago, so I know that all varies.
No. I mean, as far as their activity with humankind.
Okay, got it. Now I'm tracking with you.
Because see, technically, we're not strictly human.
Right.
The body is what makes you human, because it's humus. It's from the Earth. So we're mankind, which makes us different from the Anunnaki. And the reason why we have the intellect and the capabilities that we have and the potential that we have is because they crafted bodies in their so-called Adam and Eve. You've heard of Enki and Enlil, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay, well, Enki is the serpent in the garden, and Enlil is actually Sabaoth as playing God in that character. You'll notice that if you go from Genesis chapter 1 to Genesis chapter 2, Genesis chapter 1 to Genesis chapter 2, verse 4, that is strictly the Elohim. But then the wording changes and it goes to Yahweh Elohim.
Yes, I have seen that. Yep.
Because enter Sabaoth, the God of this realm. And you can't say otherwise, because he actually had the strongest hand. All of the Elohim had a part in making this place.
Yes. I want to interrupt for just a moment, though, just because this is, I think, a very critical piece. Is it not Enlil that helped with the language? Because I had heard that the story was that Enlil had, so Sabaoth, had the compassion for who we are and gave us through language an ability to ascend out of our estate dimensionally.
Right.
Through
Okay.
the language, because the language is the key, hence Sanskrit, Hebrew, and Aramaic.
Yes. That actually, it's fascinating that you brought that up, because you have to go over to in Genesis where it talks about the Tower of Babel.
Right.
Okay. That was actually Enki. I'm sorry, Enlil.
Okay.
Enki is the lesser god. He's actually the bastard god, because he doesn't have he has the concubine's mother. His mother is a concubine of Anu. Okay, whereas Enlil is legit. He's from the queen and king. Okay, so Enlil is the god of the heavens, the Shamayim. Okay, and that's very important. I didn't say Shemaiah. I said
I know you
Shamayim.
didn't. I know you didn't, because of the masculine energy.
Yes, because remember, they're from their father, so they are still by nature androgynous in choices.
Got it.
They can take on forms as they choose, because they are co-creators. They're what we used to be, okay, and will be once again, but on a whole different level, though.
Right.
And
right. Through an
so,
ascended level, through through Oreta.
yes, through Oreta, exactly. Namosa is a way to keep. You might say that it's a way to keep humanity at bay. In other words, it's enough structure to keep us from dealing with things as they really are. Okay, so it satisfies our need to have governance. Okay, because we want to blame somebody else, right? That's everybody loves the victim card. It just, they will love to pull it out, when in actuality everybody is responsible completely for their own experience. That's the only
Right.
thing the Creator's asking of us. And so, but anyways, so at the Tower of Babel, though, that's when they look up, because they're in a tangible way trying to get to a place that they couldn't know any other way, because they were denied the kingdom of the heart, the kingdom of Allah. So they were going about it to try to discover it in a tangible, three-dimensional way. It's all they had.
Right.
And then Enlil looks and goes, "Oh, hell no. You ain't doing that. You know what? I created your language because everybody spoke one language.
That's right.
You're speaking my language, and guess what? I don't like it no more, because you guys have figured out you don't need me." So that was not going to stand. So guess what they did? They came back down and said, "What's going on?" And he says, "Boom. Now y'all going to speak a bunch of languages."
And now
72.
you're going to be under Namusa
And now you're under Namosa.
and
Your creative
governance.
ability is completely diminished, because you
Yes.
divide and conquer.
Yes.
That's right. And that's when language started over time becoming the spell of spelling. It stopped being the perfect formation of what was seen, coming into manifestation through the word, through the what's the word?
Miltha?
Milta. Through Milta, that capability was done away with, because then they started only being able to go by what they heard, and they couldn't envision. And then the pineal starts crystallizing, and then they forget how to let their energy flow, and then then guess what becomes the order of the day from that point on? War, 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 because it's nothing but division. It was birthed at the Tower of Babel on a level that the world has never recovered from. War
It's
is so
changing.
easy. Yeah. And so what it did was it made this, and the crazy part about this, let me tell you this, the crazy part about this is that it all had to happen that way.
Yes, it did.
Because at the end of the day, even though we are incarnated here over and over and over again, and yeah, they got us in this loop because we're actually going through the moon and coming back quickly.
Yes, we are.
We entered originally through the sun, the true sun, which is
Yes.
outside.
Yes.
But that's how we're supposed to go back. But we can't go back until now.
Exactly.
And that's going to give us our ability once again to live by Oreta.
Yes. That is so good. And this is what I love. This is what I love. This is what I love. Because Enlil, because Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, because of Sabaoth, all the same name, for the one had compassion on who we are and said, I cannot leave them poor and destitute. I love them.
Exactly.
I am going to raise them up and give them a way through a vibrational frequency and a language that will allow them to personally ascend out of the slavery mindset of war and division and misogyny and masculine, and bring forth balance so they can truly rise in the creative power as who they are, as heirs, as royalty, as creators that have the masculine and the feminine back, as Christos-Sophia.
Bingo.
Oh,
You
so
got it.
good. I got goosebumps all over again. Thank you for that. Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's so good. It's like you helped fill in some pieces because I haven't read the Nag Hammadi library. And I've heard many people mention it, and now I know why, because it brings so much information to the front that is satiating the mind's desire of like, how did we end up here? Because our heart is telling us something different, right? It's coming into this oneness unity. It's feeling that feminine energy. It is lifting us out. And so we're looking around going, how come we're still like, what is going on? Because what I'm feeling in here is not what I'm seeing out there. And Christos-Sophia is saying, because now you get to create the next chapter.
Yep.
Oh, so good.
And guess who was left here? The last time Christos came in full force, what did Ishu say? I must go. I must go be with my father. But I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am,
You may
you
be
can
also.
And he says, but do not worry, because I give you a comforter. I give you a mother.
Yes.
And
Oh,
that mother
goosebumps
is
all over again.
Lilith. Lilith is the mother.
Yes. 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 Oh my gosh. I can't wait for Doug to hear this, because Doug and I on our next meeting is going to be talking about Lilith. This is so good. I'm about ready to cry all over again.
Lilith is Rucha de Kudsha.
Yes.
And she loves us so much. She's been fighting for us. She's brought us. Another word for her is Eve. She is Eve. She is
Yes,
our
the mother of all living. Chava. Yes.
Another word for Christos is Adam. We are Adamic.
One blood, one love.
That Adam and Eve story in Genesis chapter 2, that Adam and Eve story is the Annunaki making a three-dimensional version of what they had already been shown. The Nag Hammadi looks and says, oh, what is this Adamite thing that has been made over here? He's so much more powerful and so much more beautiful than us. What's going on there? So they try to make their own version of it. That's what that Adam, and guess what? Whenever they made Adam, he laid there breathing and all that because they made his body so excellent, so beautiful, so incredible because it had their DNA in it. But guess what? There was no movement. There was nothing in it. And it wasn't until Sophia stepped in and said, I'll give you some more of me. And she did it without their knowledge. And then Adam wakes up. And when he wakes up, guess what? He is greater than them. And they hid it from them. They hid it from him his entire existence.
And now that you just explained what the awakening process is, because it says they put humanity in Tardame. They put him in a deep sleep so he wouldn't know, so mankind wouldn't know who and what they are in their glorious creation of who we are, who we truly are.
Yes. And Lilith was made for him. Lilith was made for him. They fashioned a woman from other parts, made her different. And they were trying to make breeding machines because they were trying to make slaves. But guess what? Lilith comes in there and says, no, this will not stand. This will not stand. No, I'm going to stand by Adam. I'm going to stand by him. And I am going to bear his children. I'm going to do what he needs done. And that's why the woman's heel must crush the serpent's head.
And so really, this is why misogyny, this masculine energy to decrease our knowledge of who we are, and why they demonized Lilith so much. It's so much so that, oh my gosh, this is like connecting massive dots for me, like massive dots.
I know, me too. Me too. And it just, this is our true origin, but not our origin from Allah.
No, no.
You've got to keep that. Everybody has to keep that in mind. You are from beyond the stars.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that. Thank you. That is exactly correct.
This is a prison planet. And just to describe what this is about, this Earth is a plane. And the reason why it's spheroid is because it has a dome. Why does it have a dome? Because Yaldabaoth said, we will make something that will keep the animals in their cage. The Annunaki have always called Urantia their zoo. You see?
Well, again, if they can keep us diminished in our mindset, making us think that we are the behemoth and the behemoth, then we will never ascend into Chaya of who we are.
Right.
Because we aren't beasts. We have just been programmed to believe that we are. But as Sophia, as the divine feminine energy comes in, as Lilith comes as the comforter, she helps to rise us up through revelation. So all that shame and all that guilt and all that programming and the misogyny and all of the lies that have entered into our subconsciousness are being rooted out one at a time, so that we can rise into the glory of who we were truly created to be, in the essence that they chose to diminish us, so that we would never truly know who we are and be able to escape through the firmament, because at some point there is no reason for it anymore, because we then, game's up, game's over.
And those of us who can see the love of this will look at our captors and go, I call you blessed. And I
yes,
thank you for putting me in this position so that I could grow enough to get out of it.
Exactly.
Salvation is the only reason for salvation is so that you can recognize your separation.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
You recognize your separation, then you can come home.
That's right. Oh, that's so beautiful. That is such a beautiful note to end on. Come back home right here.
Yep.
Oh,
and there's no threat.
No threat. No threat, because it's real.
Yes.
That is such a beautiful way to like land this plane. Like, We went to like high, really high, and you just brought it right back down for us to settle it into our hearts. Oh my gosh, this has so been amazing. Like you helped connect us, like the order of everyone coming on, you know, Emery starts and then you come on and then Steve come on and then Doug comes on and now we're back starting with you again and Emery wants to come on. It's like all of this is such a floodgate of revelation that is making our heart expand so that we have the way, so that we know the orecha, the way back home to Oreta. It's so beautiful. Like this journey, my heart is so full right now.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Now I got one last thing for you to tell you what the earth is. The earth is, it is a plane and it is a circle. The ancient Aramaics understood, the Aramaeans understood that the only image that you can properly apply to Allah was a circle with a dot in the middle.
Oh my gosh.
I knew that
Oh
would
my
mean something to you.
gosh. Brandon's gonna freak out.
So guess what the earth is? The earth is that circle with the dot in the middle. Polaris is directly north and does not move because we don't move. The stars encircle us. Okay? And so the what you call 0 point is the North Pole. Now think of it as a clock or a calendar.
Yes.
360 degrees. The true calendar of
Enoch.
Allah is divided into 4 sections. You have
Yes.
365 days, 360 degrees, and after every certain, and it's divided into tens. Okay, so you have 10, you have 3 30-day months technically, and then you have either an equinox or a what's the other word?
It's the equinox and the solstices.
Solstice. You have 2 equinoxes and 2 solstices. That's the 4 days.
Yes.
Then the 5th day is 0 point.
Do you know what you just described? You described the calendar that the Qumran community kept, the Essenes. And that's why they were called the priesthood of light, because there were certain days that were anchored on exactly what you were saying. And they met 4 times a year, 30 days. And then, so it was like 30 days, 30 days, 31. 30 days, 30 days, 31. And on that extra day, they would come together with a great festivity because they were declaring the times and the seasons, because they were the sacred timekeepers, because they knew that the time that we are entering in right now was coming, and they were counting it down because they were actually counting down against what Yaldabaoth was trying to hold them to, is that lower diminished God. And they were saying, we are not of the priesthood of the darkness under Yaldabaoth. We are under YHWH. We are, oh my gosh. You just described the calendars of the Qumran community.
Yes, that's the origin. And that is what Ishu was taught. That it was his culture.
Exactly. Oh, I'm so emotional. People are going to be watching this and they're going to go, wow, you know, give this girl a box of Kleenex. She's so emotional, but this is so tied to my heart. There's a knowing that is there. And so when you strike these chords, it's like, yeah, I already know this. I'm remembering.
Yeah, you do know this. You do know this.
I do.
And this is why you can go in an airplane and the horizon is straight. There's no curvature. It always rises to the level of what you see because you're seeing a plane going all the way across. And if you, I suspect, but I can't prove it, but I think that for our dimension, our experience here, I think that there is a tangible tree of life at the North Pole.
Well, this is exactly why, like, what was it, Admiral Byrd? Yeah, when he was doing all of his discoveries. I mean, I've been down that rabbit hole and I have learned some very interesting things, and I kind of set it aside. But what you just did in our share time was help bring everything together seamlessly for us to know where we are in this critical junction in time, space, so that we can begin moving out of that place of imprisonment of time, so that we become into the no time, no space, no thing, into the fullness of the creators that are no longer bound but have been truly set free.
Yes.
So thank you for that. I mean,
Yes.
from the depths of my heart, I'm very stirred. I have another meeting to go into in 15 minutes with Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and it's like, oh my gosh, wow, we are learning how to create in this where we are at and what that looks like, because we are given the staffs of authority to do so. It's so, I'm wrecked in a good way. I am so wrecked right now. I'm going to have to just probably go lay down for the next 15 minutes and just soak in all of this stuff that you gave today. This was so beautiful. I cannot wait for people to hear this information. It is so life-changing, and you just brought everything together. Oh,
Well, I love
thank you.
And I am grateful for all of it. This made my experience so much easier.
Mine too. You are family. You are absolute family, and you are so precious to me. You are so precious to me, and I'm so grateful. And I can't wait until we get to talk again. I love you, Daryl Layne. I love you.
I love you too.
Agreed. Shlama, shalom. Shlama alehechun. And we'll end it on that.
Okay. Well,
Right back at ya.